it is now way darker than it has been when we've been doing these things for the last several months. So, hey, Delphine. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And you can continue to say hey if you're here. And also, don't forget to share the video on your wall so that your friends know that you're here and invite them to join you. So welcome to this edition of Move to Amend's monthly live stream, the Move to Amend Report. This is the place where you can hear the latest about what's going on in the movement to amend the U.S. Constitution and legalize democracy. And I'm your host, Caitlin Saposi-Belknap, Move to Amend's National Director. You can find us here on the fourth Wednesday of every month, except for right now. It is, I think, the fifth Wednesday, but normally the fourth Wednesday of every month at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern, right here on Facebook Live. Just a suggestion that maybe the folks in the office who are sharing the internet with me might want to not be doing Facebook Live so that I've got as much internet bandwidth as possible. So we really encourage your participation as we go along. You can comment where you're tuning in from, and if you have any questions for the national team, we will answer your question in real time. Shout out to Garrett and Keon, who are both helping to staff the comments, and we'll also supplement what I'll tell you about by posting links and things like that. So November has been jam-packed with a lot of news that could have consequences for all of us. So let's jump in, and first we wanted to talk a little bit about net neutrality. So despite over millions of comments, the Federal Communications Commission announced earlier this month that their intention is to repeal the net neutrality guidelines, which treat internet service providers as public utilities, and which prevents telecom companies from price gouging consumers for their internet access and showing preferential treatment towards internet content. So the FCC is planning to repeal the regulation that so far has ensured net neutrality. So if these regulations are repealed, that would mean that nothing would stop the Comcasts and Verizons of the world from teaming up and charging us more money for our internet content while limiting speeds if you don't pay the top premium price. And this is not probably the first time you've heard of this, because it's come up repeatedly for the past several years. There's been a fight for net neutrality. Nobody wants to get rid of net neutrality except for these massive companies, and yet here we are with the FCC basically planning to bow to their demands. So there's nothing good about this from a consumer standpoint, from a democracy standpoint, from a freedom of information standpoint, and yet here we are on the brink of losing net neutrality. And it seems like it's never been as real or as close of a threat as it is right now. So if you're wondering what life would look like without net neutrality, Garrett's going to share a picture of what purchasing internet in other countries like Portugal without net neutrality could look like. It's a picture that's guaranteed to make you scared enough to call and email and overwhelm the offices of Congress and these other corporate sellouts in the FCC as much as we can until their vote on December 14th. So please follow those links that Garrett's going to share. And then another big thing on the news right now is the Republican tax plan / corporate giveaway. So Republicans in Congress are at it again, this time with a tax proposal that outlines a giant redistribution of wealth from the poorest Americans to the richest Americans, with massive decreases to corporations in terms of what corporations pay in taxes. Their tax plan does nothing to make college tuition more affordable. It actually makes it more expensive. It will do nothing to lower healthcare costs. In fact, Republicans are still trying to repeal Obamacare, which was already an insufficient solution for most Americans. And it will also do nothing to take steps at reducing long-term structural inequality. Modest tax cuts for middle class and low-income people are only temporary, while corporate tax cuts are permanent. So Congress didn't take the time to focus on these issues that affect everyday people, but instead focused on other issues like clarifying tax law for private jet companies. Yep, that's true. Garrett will share a link to that story below. The plan also intends to repeal the Johnson Amendment, which would basically effectively turn churches. Oh, shoot. I'm going to start getting text. That'll be loud. Let me turn that off. So the Johnson Amendment would effectively, if it gets repealed, it would effectively turn churches into super PACs. So there's just so much bad stuff happening in this tax proposal that we can't cover all of it. If you want to keep up with the most recent stories, you can check out our website and social media pages, and we will continue to keep you updated about the tax proposal. But basically, this is the kind of ridiculousness that happens when we allow wealthy special interests to have so much influence on the political process. And another really important reason why we need the We the People Amendment as soon as possible. And then also wanted to cover that November is National American Indian Heritage Month. And we had another big oil, I hate to even say the word spill, like you spill milk, you spill water, like maybe on, on the table, on the floor, and on your carpet. An oil spill is just so much monumentally worse than that we need a different word. But there was another spill in South Dakota. So November has been National American Indian Heritage Month, which is a time that's supposed to honor the native tribes of our country and provide a space for sharing culture and traditions as well as forming stronger friendships in the future. Instead, it was overshadowed towards the end of this month by an oil pipeline leak in South Dakota, which resulted in over 200,000 gallons of toxic oil being released into the environment. The pipeline was also named Keystone, not to be confused with the Keystone XL pipeline that is still an ongoing battle with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. But it's symbolic that the pipelines share the same name, or ironic, because all pipelines share the same catastrophic risks. Environmental assessments of the damage suggest that this leak could have been much more tragic if it had not been contained as quickly and managed to reach water sources. So luckily it didn't, but it could have been a lot worse. So just like native tribes have been screaming for years, it's time to stop building pipelines. It's time to say no more to the entire fossil fuel industry and continues to protect and prioritize profit over humans' well-being and our communities and the environment. So just a reminder of why we need to double our efforts to stop big oil from having so much say over our government. So that's the news for November. Not the happiest of times, but that's where we are. Want to share some highlights from Move to Amend for this month. We've really been getting ready for the new year, actually, kind of closing things down for the end of the year, finishing up projects, making sure we're in good shape, and then getting ready and looking ahead to 2018. So that's a lot of what we've been doing. We are hiring 2 new positions before the end of the year, and then they'll start in January. So we're looking to hire a legislative and media coordinator. That person, we need to be based in the Washington, D.C. area or Eastern Seaboard, actually, as long as it's not like a couple hour train ride from Washington, D.C. would work from our perspective, but we need somebody close to the Capitol. And also, we're hiring an outreach coordinator that would be based here in Sacramento, where our office is. So, if you know of anyone who would be interested, or if you would be interested in either of those positions, the deadline to apply is this Friday. We've had these jobs posted for the last month. So there's just a few more days, but there's still time. So you can check out the links in the comments that Garrett's going to post if you want to learn more. And please do share that with anyone that you know that would be a good fit for us in either the Sacramento area or the Washington, D.C. or general East Coast area. Also, we are getting ready to launch our 2017 end of the year fundraising campaign. We need to raise $175,000 this month, or nope, not this month, in December, but coming right up, we're going to be kicking it off here really soon. We generally raise like about a third of our budget in the end of the year. And so we're always kind of on pins and needles to make sure that it's all going to even out and work out, and that we'll be starting the new year strong. So please do make sure to remember Move to Amend in your end of year plans, and make a donation as generously as you can. This campaign really supports the work of so much other work, whatever other issues you care about, the environment, private prisons, oil spills, or oil floods. I like that, Greg. Corporate taxes, all of it relates to big money and corporate power and influence over our government. And so making an investment in Move to Amend will also help support the work that you may care deeply about in other areas as well. So we'll be talking about that more in December. But just want to make sure everyone knows that's coming, and we really need you to help pitch in there so that we can continue to do this work. I want to give some affiliate shout outs for good work over the last month or so. Big thanks to Minnesota's Move to Amend State Network for their work on Pledge to Amend. Pledge to Amend is a campaign to get candidates for office to pledge to use their office if they win to support the 28th Amendment and the We the People Amendment. And volunteers in Minnesota collected 23 new pledges by candidates running for local and state office to support the We the People Amendment that makes clear that corporations are not people and money is not speech. I'm sorry, my dog is hoping for dinner and inching closer and closer and louder. Let's see what else. Shout out to our Ohio State Network for contributing to a successful barnstorming tour that we did in early October. Our national leadership team members, George Friday and Laura Bonham, visited 5 cities to talk with supporters about the history of corporate rule and laid the groundwork for a new affiliate in Ohio. So big thanks to all of our Toledo, Mentor, and Cleveland affiliates for your help organizing this tour. And also shout out to our Pennsylvania volunteers and supporters for helping organize and coming out for our Pennsylvania and Delaware barnstorming tour earlier this month. Move to Amend Outreach Director Greg Coleridge gave public talks in 8 cities during late October and early November, including Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Dover. So thanks to our affiliates in Philadelphia, Lower Bucks, and Wayne counties for your awesome work hosting and organizing many of these events. And also shout out to all of our affiliates who have completed our 7-session movement education program within the last 2 months. Our movement education program is a tool and process to help Move to Amend leaders become more effective organizers who understand the close relationship between structural oppression based on race, class, gender, etc., and the current dire state of our democracy. By the end of the 7th session of this program, Move to Amend affiliates have created a local solidarity organizing plan for how to raise awareness about the nature of corporate rule and link it to other issues that are happening in their community, while also building authentic and trusting relationships with people from groups that are hardest hit by structural oppression, which most of the time is people of color, low-income people, women, immigrants, and with other organizers on the front lines of the struggle against injustice and corporate rule. So particular shout out recently to Humboldt County, California, Move to Amend, and Toledo, Shaker Heights, and Cleveland Heights in Ohio, and Wayne and Lower Bucks counties in Pennsylvania, who all finished this program. And if you're interested in learning about our program, it's for Move to Amend leaders, and that's our grassroots volunteers who are running local affiliates, but the materials are all available, and we're happy for other folks to use them, and we have gotten word that other organizations and individuals have found them very useful. So if you would post the link here at movetoamend.org/education, folks can learn about our movement education program there. So looking into next month and finishing up the year and then beyond, Greg and others have been on a good barnstorming tour on the East Coast, And I'll be continuing with tour stops in Oregon. Next week, I'll be in Oregon, so I'll be in, let's see, Portland, Corvallis, Bend, Eugene, and Astoria, and doing some work with folks in Salem as well, although not a public event there. So looking forward to being up north to our neighbors to the north for a little bit. And if you're in Oregon, please come join me at those events, and the details are on our website. You can find out all the information. I'll also be in Washington, D.C. in January doing some lobbying, but also potentially putting on a public event there. And then we're looking at, this is sort of more tentative, but for folks to have a sense that we're planning to probably be in Texas, Louisiana, Alabama in February, and Arizona in March, and more stops to come. So if you're interested in bringing Move to Amend to your community in 2018, now would be a good time to sign up and let us know that you can be a host. Garrett can post the link to our barnstorming page where you can let us know that you're hoping that we would come visit you. And we're also going to be doing several days of action in January around key anniversaries and dates that are related to corporate rule. So we'll begin with the Citizens United anniversary on January 21st, which is one day after the Women's March. And we'll be posting information soon for how folks across the country can organize your own direct actions with different levels of escalation in your community on those dates. So tune in for suggestions and ideas to come in the next couple weeks. And then we'll also be doing some activities in May around the anniversary of the Santa Clara versus Southern Pacific Railroad Supreme Court decision, which is on May 10th. And also, I'm off script right now, so let's see if I can pull it together quickly, but I just realized that we forgot to put in here that we have the dates and venue for our leadership summit. So we did our first leadership summit in Washington, D.C. last year. It was a 3-day conference and then a lobby day in D.C. First time we've ever done something like that, and we will be doing that again this June, or in June 2018, and we will be in Washington, D.C. again, so we'll have, you know, the lobby day component too, but it's many folks said it was the best conference they've ever been to, and it's an opportunity for Move to Amend supporters to come together and meet each other, network, learn skills, organizing skills, history, connect with other movement leaders, to make bridges to the work that others are doing in response to corporate rule in all different fronts of struggle. So that event will be, whoops, I had it and then it disappeared. We're looking at June 8th through the 11th. So mark your calendars, and it'll be in Washington, D.C. at Trinity University. So we're really excited about that. And looks like I should back up. Thanks, Greg, for catching. We forgot to give a shout out to Central Ohio Move to Amend for also completing the movement education program based in Columbus. And also when we're barnstorming next year, we do know that we're going to be doing Florida in January. George Friday, one of our board members, she'll be traveling all around the state in Florida. So if you are there, I just spoke with someone today who is a snowbird who will be down in Florida. So if that's you, or if you've got friends who live in Florida, let them know that we'll be there in January. Sounds like we're having a little bit of some internet trouble today. Again, want to suggest that the office folks help give me some bandwidth by not being on. And that is sort of the gist of my report. So happy to answer any questions, though, that anybody might have. So if you've got questions, I actually can see the comments. I've got my phone up as well. So if anybody has any questions for me, please feel free to post them, and I will answer them. Let's see. And while I'm waiting to see if there is anything, I'll let folks know that our live report next month will be a week earlier than normal, December 20th. And then we'll close out for the year, and our office will be closed for a little bit. We'll still be working, but our office will be closed. So that'll be a chance to kind of do a recap of the whole year and talk about what's ahead in 2018. So I hope folks will tune in and join us then. I'm sorry that we're having some technical difficulties, it sounds like. There's not much I can do about it right now. But I'm not seeing any questions. Garrett and Keon, if there were any earlier that I missed, please make sure to flag them for me in the chat. Otherwise, we can sign off, but I'll give it another minute or so just in case there's anybody else. I can't totally tell whether you can hear me right now. Grr. Okay, well, I see many familiar names, so it makes sense that you might not have questions. Please remember to share the link for this feed and invite others to join. And we will be back next month on Wednesday, December 20th. And in the meantime, feel free to post any comments if you're not listening to the live report, but you're just tuning in to the recording. You can still post comments or questions, and we will respond as soon as we can. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight, and I will talk to you again on I will talk to you again on December 20th. Have a good night, everybody.